This is the Boom Mini Google Television Smart Projector. It turns a blank wall into a legit movie night with almost no setup, and it does it without extra boxes or cables. I put this in the category of compact, all-in-one smart projectors. It is best for people like me who want an easy, living room-friendly way to watch movies and shows without messing with a separate streaming stick, a sound bar, or a bunch of fiddly settings. If you live in an apartment, a dorm, or you just want a bedroom or cozy den setup, this hits the sweet spot between convenience and real performance. The design looks simple in the best way. Matte black, clean lines, no flashy accents. It feels solid in the hand, with the kind of weight that tells me the optics and speakers are not an afterthought. It is not pocket-sized, but I have no problem carrying it from the living room to the bedroom or out to the patio. There is a stand built in that lets me tilt the projector at a wide range of angles. I have aimed it at a wall for a quick show, and I have leaned it back to project on the ceiling for late-night documentaries. The volume knob on top sounds like a small detail, but I love it. If someone calls me or I want to turn it down fast, I just reach up and twist. The rear has a simple layout with a high-definition multimedia interface port and the basics covered, and there is enough ventilation that the cooling fan stays quiet. It is a low hum that fades into the background once the movie starts. The outer shell is plastic, and that is fine. It looks clean on a shelf, and I do not worry about fingerprints or scuffs. Setup was almost suspiciously easy. I plugged it in, pressed power, and Google Television appeared within moments. If you have used a modern smart television, you will be right at home. I signed in, grabbed a few favorite apps, and I was streaming in minutes. The interface feels responsive when I scroll through rows or search for a title. The remote has a microphone button for Google Assistant. I have been using that a lot. I say the name of a show, and it jumps straight into the right app. No hunting through menus. Wireless internet performance has been solid on both the 2.4 GHz and 5 GHz bands in my house. I did not run into buffering on high-resolution streams once I picked the closer network. Screencasting from my Android phone and from an iPhone has been reliable. Video and audio stayed in sync, and there was no weird delay. If I want a cable, the high-definition multimedia interface input has accepted every device I tried, from a laptop to a small console. The first thing that made me relax was the autofocus. The Boom Mini uses a time-of-flight system that dials in focus in about 3 seconds. I can shift the projector a bit to move the picture, and it snaps back into sharp focus without me touching the lens. Auto keystone correction squares off the image when I am projecting at an angle. I did notice that heavy keystone correction can soften the edges a little, which is normal. When I want the crispest possible picture, I set the projector as straight on to the wall as I can and use small manual tweaks rather than big keystone moves. That keeps the center-to-edge clarity consistent. Image quality is where I decided I could actually live with this as a main screen. The Boom Mini delivers a native full high-definition picture, and it supports high dynamic range 10. Translated to real life, it looks clean and sharp on a medium to large image. Colors are lively without pushing into cartoon territory. Skin tones look natural. Highlights have a nice pop, and daytime scenes carry plenty of detail. Blacks are not as deep as a premium cinema projector or an organic light-emitting diode television, but for a compact unit, dark scenes hold together with good shadow detail. Brightness is rated at about 500 American National Standards Institute lumens. That number can sound small if you are thinking about televisions, but in projector terms, it is enough for night viewing and for daytime with curtains drawn. In a bright room with sunlight pouring in, the picture looks washed. I can still follow what is happening, but I would not pick that setting for a visually rich film. As soon as I dim the lights, it comes alive. Sound surprised me the most. There are 4 speakers on the back pushing a total of about 20 watts, with Dolby audio processing in the mix. I expected tiny, tinny sound, and instead I got full voices, clear dialogue, and some honest bass for the size. I watched an action movie with lots of firefights and crowd noise, and voices stayed intelligible. Music documentaries had a bit of punch, and the projector filled a medium-sized room without strain. At maximum volume, I heard a little compression on heavy sound effects, but nothing harsh or distracting. For an impromptu backyard screening, I would not bring a separate speaker unless I wanted extra thump. I tested this a few ways that mirror how I actually watch content. On a plain white wall from about 8 feet away, I saw a picture around 100 inches that looked sharp enough that I stopped thinking about settings and just watched. On a gray painted wall in the bedroom, the contrast improved slightly, and I liked the look even more. Ceiling projection worked well for late-night viewing, and the autofocus handled the angle without complaint. Sports held up, with motion that looked smooth enough to track the ball and read on-screen graphics. I did not see distracting color fringing or weird artifacts. Streaming high-resolution nature footage was the most convincing demo. Greens had depth, and water and sky gradients looked clean. Gaming was decent for casual play. A side-scrolling platformer felt responsive. A slower role-playing game was great on the large screen. Fast competitive shooters were playable but not ideal. Like most compact projectors, there is some input delay that you will feel if you are used to a gaming monitor. If gaming is a priority, I would keep expectations in check or use it for more relaxed genres. Connectivity has been flexible. The two-way Bluetooth has been handy. I connected wireless earbuds late at night to keep things quiet, and the audio stayed in sync. I also used the projector as a Bluetooth speaker during a small get-together. Music sounded surprisingly full, and I could control volume with that top dial without picking up the remote. Casting from my phone worked well for vacation photos and quick clips, and the high-definition multimedia interface port let me plug in a laptop for a slideshow without hassle. There are a few smart touches that improve daily use. Kids mode lets me set a safer home screen and limit which apps are visible. That gives me peace of mind when nieces and nephews visit. The Google Assistant voice search saves time, especially when I am already settled on the couch. The autofocus and auto keystone combination reduces the amount of manual fiddling by a lot. The cooling system stays quiet enough that I do not notice it once dialogue starts. And boot up is fast enough that I can go from pressing power to watching a show before the popcorn is ready. Not everything is perfect. Bright light is the enemy, so the best experience is in a dim or dark room. Heavy keystone correction softens the picture a bit at the edges, so placing the projector as straight as possible is worth the effort. While the app selection on Google Television is strong, I ran into one odd moment where Disney Plus needed a quick update, and once loaded through a built-in browser instead of the dedicated app. It still worked, but navigation was not as smooth in that case. That seems to have resolved after the update. The shell is plastic, and while it feels sturdy, it does not have the premium metal vibe of some pricier projectors. None of those issues stopped me from using it daily. Here is a use case that stuck with me. I set up a simple backyard movie night. I placed the Boom Mini on a small table, connected to my home wireless internet, and aimed it at a portable screen. As the sun went down, the picture clicked into that sweet spot where colors look saturated and the image has plenty of punch. The built-in speakers filled the space for a small group without hauling out extra gear. Cleanup was quick. I unplugged it and carried it inside. Another night I used it in the bedroom, tilted up at the ceiling, and watched 2 episodes of a show while half asleep. Autofocus handled the strange angle, and I did not need to touch a single setting. That is the kind of convenience that makes me actually reach for it rather than default to a smaller television. After living with it, my conclusion is pretty straightforward. The Boom Mini is for me when I want an easy projector that feels modern, looks clean, and just works. If I care about a hands-off setup with real streaming apps, if I want a sharp, full high-definition picture that looks great after dark, and if I value clear sound without adding another device, this fits. It is not meant for bright conference rooms or hardcore competitive gaming. It is not a pocket toy. It is a compact home projector that nails the basics and adds a few smart comforts that make a difference. If you are thinking about a projector for movie nights, binge-watching shows, or setting up a cozy secondary screen in a bedroom or den, I can recommend the Boom Mini. It has earned a spot in my rotation because it makes the jump from idea to watching without stress. That matters more than any spec sheet for how I actually live. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe to the channel and let me know your questions or your own experiences with compact projectors in the comments. Thank you for watching.